for myself again also. So thank you again for giving me this chance to share just a tiny little bit of what I understand and what I could contemplate and what I could get from the from Master's teachings. So today is November 11th, a very interesting day, 1111. And also, I know this morning, at least I'm a little shocked. I guess, brothers and sisters, you might be a little shocked also because Master Jing came up for the Xun Fa Xiang, which I don't say, please don't worry. I think it's just because we have already ended chapter 16, and Master will be going out to for the trip around Taiwan on the 18th, and so she will only begin on chapter 17 when she came back from the trip. And so for the next few days, we'll be reviewing the past videos. Like for today, we've been watching the review on Fa Shi Ping, the Dharma teacher. That's on chapter 10, as far as chapter 10. And we're reviewing on it. And when we review back the video, sometimes we realize that the idea is so similar and it's all connected. Like today, one portion that I had a lot of very deep impression is on the part where Master says a Dharma teacher is one where the body, the speech, the mind are all preaching the Dharma. The body doing good deeds. She was saying the body is disciplined with the demeanor of the virtue. The body's action of a spiritual practitioner is the kind of demeanor is with that discipline that embodies a kind of spiritual practicing that when someone else seeing this spiritual practitioner will feel the kind of joy, the kind of looking up to that, wow, this practitioner is different. It brings joy to our hearts. So such is the body, the action of a Dharma teacher. At the same time, the speech, the things that you say is always Dharma, and the mind of the person is always thinking about how to alleviate their suffering. So this is what we have heard this morning. And I want to elaborate on it today on the task come one's lifespan, chapter 16. And I just want to bring out a point that helped me to understand this chapter very much. Because, well, we all know this chapter began with a question that Bodhisattva mantra bring up for us. That is, how is it possible that the Buddha could have transformed and taught that countless multitudes of great bodhisattvas, all of them, all deep in the bodhisattva's path, also diligent and disciplined and dedicated on this path to help others, all these great bodhisattvas. And these millions, countless of these great bodhisattvas emerging from the ground. Who are they? Who are their teachers? What Dharma do they follow? All these questions. And then the Buddha replied that all of them are taught by me, by the Buddha. And so Bodhisattva mantra asked the question for us, that how is that possible? It's just like, remember the metaphor? It's just like a young man with black hair pointing at an old elderly with white hair saying that he is my son. And then the old man with the white hair also pointing to the young man with the black hair saying that, yes, he is my father. And that is so weird. And this is the question that began chapter 16, where Buddha began to explain, why is this so? Because his lifespan has been countless eons of time. For all kalpas, he has already been around. He didn't actually appear. He didn't disappear. He has always been there, all the time. And what does that really mean? Okay, just a quick background. We began on September 17th, and now on the 11th, 10th, we've ended. Through these almost 2 months, we've been looking at it, and this is what I've always been thinking about, this infinite lifespan. And, you know, always thinking of it as immortality. Is it the same? Are we talking about the same thing? Are we saying that Buddha lives in this world for, you know, as long as he could? You know, he have attained immortality through spiritual practice. Is it what I mean? Well, let's transform that word infinite lifespan to what Master interpreted it as, which makes a lot of sense. That is principles, 道理. 道理 is what we're talking about here, that infinite lifespan. And what does that mean? Again, many a time, I go back this way. Many a time, when we meet a situation, when we meet difficulties, many of our brothers and sisters would think in the head, if it was Master, what would she do? What would she do? And then in our mind, we'll visualize the Master in front of us, and then she herself meeting this situation, and then she would say this word. This is what she would do. She would say, you know, things like, we will have her demeanor, her actions in our mind, and then we realize, yes, this is what we should do, and then we do it. So what does it mean? It means that Master actually embodies certain kind of principle that we really hope to learn. And so that's why we visualize Master in our head, in the situation, and see what Master would do. And because Master has been doing it all the time, she always follows such principle in her actions, in her word, and in her mind. And so we can visualize her with that principle. And when we visualize her, it reminds us of that principle in action. Because if she put it into action, so it makes it easier for us to visualize it, the principle working, it's magic. And it helps us to apply it in our own situation. So actually, so in the idea, actually, many of us, we all embodies some good principles. For example, I would visualize like Brother Joe in my mind, and you know, to me, well, he's not around today, so he has a lot of good points. For example, he always thinks about how to help fellow practitioners around to improve. So he always think in steps ahead to create platforms to help practitioners, our fellow practitioners, to improve ourselves. For example, so that's why we have the Family in Dharma platform, where we, through translation, we delve deep into Master's teaching. So this is like a platform. And then from that platform, he thinks ahead further to think about how we could go on to have group sharing on the things we have translated to deepen our understanding. Things like that, he would go further to think about it. And that is, you know, thinking ahead is something I learned from him a lot, and how we could help others around us to improve. And that is a good principle, a good virtue that he has been following, he has been embodying. And so so when I think of him, it reminds me of this. Yeah, so when visualizing him, I had this principle in mind, and I'll put it into my own action too. And of course, we would all have maybe just a few not so good ones that we have always been doing. And so when people visualize us in their head, they also think of these bad things too. So all of us, we all embody certain good principles and certain not so good ones. And they are all called actually our habitual tendencies, our 习气. And they are good 习气 and they are bad 习气. But because we keep doing it, and so it becomes as if we are part of it. We we are part of this character. We kind of represented this character, these characteristics. And so in this same understanding, we hope that we could remove that red line. We hope to remove those very few, not so good, bad habits, and make this some good principles into all good principles. And when we could embody all good principles in all actions, in all our words, in all the thoughts that we think, then I think that would be enlightenment, that would be reaching Buddhahood. I'll go on further onto that. But let's put this principle into a quick logical flow. Step 1, principle or Dharma is forever true. This is right, correct? And it's forever present. The principle of compassion, the principle of altruism, the principle of selfless giving, the principle of helping others, all these have been present in not in the beginningless time. Before the beginning of human history, even in animals, in flowers, we could see such principles acting as magic. That the world is harmonious because of its supporting each other, and such principle has always been there. And no matter what races, what ethnicities, what countries, what cultural backgrounds we have, there's always these common virtues, good virtues that has been preached by all religions, preached by all people, whether you have religion or not. So such principles have always been there, always present, not just in a human, but in animal too. In fact, in the whole world, in the whole universe, such principles are always present. If you think of it for the scientific people out there, think of science, think of law of physics. It has always been there. Of course, we don't know whether it's still there before the Big Bang, but maybe the law of physics is a little bit different in the multi-universe, but that's okay. There's still certain kind of principle that has been present since beginningless time, and it is according to these natural principles that everything has been working. And so this phrase is correct. That principle is forever true, is forever present. There's always such things present. And second step, for example, the Buddha is an embodiment of the principle of this principle, of these principles. Buddha is an embodiment of these principles. Or his body, his actions, his speech, his mind, and his vow itself is putting into action of all this principle. And so if we put step 1 and 2 together, that means Buddha is forever present. And that just makes logical sense. It just makes logical sense. If we could embody the principle, then the principle is as I am the principle, then you could say that we are forever present. The Buddha is forever present. So I think when we say infinite lifespan, it is in this sense. And let's give a few more examples. Compassion is forever true. And Guanyin Bodhisattva, Guanyin Pusa, is an embodiment of compassion. So if we say that Guanyin Pusa has forever been present, she has always been present whenever there's compassion in action, then when we see compassion in action, we say that, oh, you are like a Pusa, you are like Guanyin Pusa,视线在这个世界, you are like Guanyin Pusa coming back to this world to save sentient beings. And we say that. So that's like saying Guanyin is forever present. And this is just logical. And another example, selfless giving is forever true. And silent mentor, our dearest silent mentors, is an embodiment of selfless giving. And so we can say the silent mentor's spirit, that selfless giving, that spirit is forever present. So suddenly realize that even our lives could sustain. And what life is that? Our wisdom life. Our wisdom life is forever present. And that is in the spirits that we have embodied. That is in the principles that we have embodied. When our life follows according to the principle for a long time, that is as if we embodied the principle. And because the principle is forever we could say our life has sustained in someone else's life when someone else follows that principle. So all this makes sense. It's just in the verbal form, we put it into a way that makes kind of contradicting, thinking that, oh, the lifespan is infinite, that the Buddha is immortal. Well, it's not, because the principle is forever. So if we put, again, in the same logic, if we put everything together, selfless giving, compassion, GRL is gratitude, respect, and love. 感恩、尊重、爱 GRL, and dot, all the good virtues together, everything in the big basket together, and all of these are forever true and forever present. And for example, Buddha has embodied all of these in every of his body, his speech, his mind, his vow. And so Buddha is forever present. And I think this is what we want to strive for. We embody all these principles in our actions. And that is attaining Buddhahood. In that same way, in the same logical flow, we could understand a bit further, where when all these principles, these good virtues are forever present, and the Buddha is an embodiment of all these. And for example, in one of the story, we have heard of the Buddha's past life. He was once the deer king. And let's put that aside again. The deer king is, in the story, an embodiment of selfless giving, compassion, and so on and so forth. And so, the fourth step, we could say that Buddha is equal to the deer king. And so we would say that, for example, in the past lifetime, the Buddha had been a deer king, and so on and so forth. And maybe in our mind, we would think that maybe Buddha had been deer before, and so on and so forth. And that makes a little, for the scientific people out there, if you couldn't really believe in reincarnation and so on and so forth, then that's okay. Because if through such logical flow, we could understand actually pretty clearly that and that this makes sense. When anyone embodies all the good virtues, we say that this person has attained Buddhahood. Or we could say that this person is Buddha again, or we could say that that Buddha's teaching has continued up to now. The Buddha's Dhamma body has been continuing all this while. And all this makes sense, and it helps me to believe in what this means. This is what Master has taught also, that 道理, principles, is forever. And that is why. And so in just yesterday, we ended on these very first verses of the Sutra, where it says, the Buddha, I am always thinking, how can I cause living beings to enter the unsurpassed way and to quickly perfect the body of a Buddha? You know, when I saw these, I was so joyous, because it answered everything. Whatever the Buddha did, all the actions, all his speech, all his mind, in fact, making the using of the expedient mean, like the doctor father that went far away and said that he is dead, because so that the children would take the medicine. And all of these, behind all of this, is only because the Buddha has always been thinking how he could quickly help the sentient beings to perfect the body of a Buddha. That is, to embody. Interestingly, in the English word helps us to understand, to embody the principles, the Dharma that the Buddha has always been trying to tell us, the Buddha nature that the Buddha has been trying to tell us. How can we quickly return back to that Buddha nature that is embodying the principles, that is the body of a Buddha? It all makes sense. And all the Buddha is trying to help is to help us quickly perfect that body of a Buddha. And in the process, he used different ways in order to suit the capacity of different people. And such different ways, we call it expedient means. And that will bring us to the Q&A that I'm going to go on further. So let me end off this part. So why is cultivation so difficult? Well, just because it's habitual tendencies. Why is it so hard to embody the principles when many times we already know the principles in our head? You know, when the anger starts to grow, we always know that we shouldn't do that, but it still came out. And that's habitual tendencies. And so Master say that spiritual practicing, what are we practicing? Actually, we are just practicing to change our habitual tendencies, so that our habitual tendencies could actually follow according to the principles. Or in fact, if we remove our habitual tendencies, then all our actions will follow according to the principles. And that transformation to follow all our actions, all our speech, or the thoughts in our minds according to the principle, that process of transformation is difficult just because there's habitual tendencies. And so there's a lot of things that we need to overcome. And we are all on this path of transforming ourselves to a better person. And brothers and sisters, just help each other in this changing of habitual tendencies. And so when we see this phrase again, it makes a different level of meaning. The Buddha's heart is our heart. Master's mission is our mission. It's this embodiment of the principle that has filled Buddha's heart all the while. And the mission the Master is guiding us, that mission is again that principle, that the direction that Master given us. And when all our action, the body, speech, mind, follows these, that is 佛心实质, and that is 成佛. That's where we really attain Buddhahood. So it's a path that we're going on, and it's continuous action that we are practicing, and it's not an end. Buddhahood is not an end. It's a continuing practicing. It's embodying the principle in all our daily lives. From that, I want to continue with the Q&A, which really links these ideas and continuing forward. For example, in this question one, we have brothers and sisters that ask, there have been volunteers that practices Theravada teachings, and so they refrain from joining Master's Xunfa Xiang because they thought that it contradicts and confuses them. So how can we encourage them to listen? I think this is a quick question because we are thinking about how to encourage them to walk onto the path together, and because they are also volunteers already, so they are already walking the path. And so actually, to myself, I would think that at this, they're already putting into action, and we know that the truth is in the action itself, is in the world itself. And so that put into actions when they help others, when they help others with the selfless mind, that is already trying to embody the principles of selfless giving, of 付出无所求, of 感恩尊重爱, in their own actions. And we are sure that, in fact, because Theravada teaching is also a branch of Buddhism, and the teaching is all the same. We all have the same source. And in any case, Buddha's teaching is the same. So that putting into action helps. It will help them to deepen their understanding of what Theravada teachings have been teaching them, just as many of our Christian brothers and sisters would say that doing Tzu Chi helped them to understood what Jesus has been teaching them, what God has given for them, the grace that God has given, that is that heart to help others, that love thy neighbor, is a kind of embodiment. And the putting into action would help anyone that has the mind of spiritual practicing to better themselves into the right path, because we all know that all teachings have the right have the rightness in it. And so that is okay. I think that's one part. Another is how to encourage is for ourselves to embody the principles, so that all our actions, all our words is like a walking Jing aphorism, that when they see us, all our actions, in fact, all our brothers and sisters, we are like mirrors to each other, not just for them, these volunteers that have been practicing our teachings. In fact, whatever teachings we are practicing, it's the same. We are all brothers and sisters. We are all embodying the principles. We are helping each other to learn what we think is right, what we think we have sought, we have testified for ourselves that this is right, and we are putting into our actions. And so when they see us so joyous helping others, that will inspire other people to follow the same path, and that is the more important part. And now, when they realize, when we all realize that joy behind, and then we will follow that in our own and take it as the principle in our heart. And so I think that's okay. Let go of the differences of the different teachings, because that's just in the name. They are called Theravada, they are called the small vehicle, they are called Christian, they are called Muslim. That's really okay. Behind, they're all the same good teachings behind. And focus on that sameness. And because that is what that really lasts for throughout the human history. Just like what we say, principle is forever true. And that principle has been there in the universe. And different religions saw these principles and put it into different wordings. And that principle is all the same. Put into action, that's more important. Yeah, and from there, question 2, we're often asked not to simply believe what we hear, investigate. And this is what Buddha has told us too. Investigate, realize it for ourselves. But I'm not too sure whether only then we accept it. Because actually the steps we could rearrange it a little bit, because yes, like what you said, if we simply believe in what we hear and then just take it as true, then how do we know it's true? Because we are not there yet, right? Yeah, these will sound like contradicting, but let me share with you. If you're a scientific person, because when you ask this, it sounds like you're a scientific person. Actually, there's a scientific answer to this, because in experiments, actually, we make a hypothesis. And hypothesis is something that we don't know whether it's true, but we take it as true. We take it as true first, and then we test the hypothesis, and yeah, as if the hypothesis is true, and see for us if the world actually works this way. And when it works this way, it will give us a result, and the result will tell us that, oh, it really works this way. And so the hypothesis becomes a theory. And when it works a lot of time and there's really no contradicting of this theory, it becomes a law of nature, which really is just a theory that has not yet had a conflicting result experiments. But it lasts long. Okay, so what I want to say is, even in science, we experiment, we make hypotheses, we make guesses, we believe in it first, and then we do the experiment. So actually, you don't have, you have to believe first in order to test its results. And so when we see this, you realize that actually, no, we don't see the results and then we believe. That is opposite, because when we don't believe, we won't see the results, because we haven't put it into action yet. Then we won't see the results, and we won't see a result. We don't believe it, and we don't believe it. We don't put it into action, and we don't put it into action. We don't see the results, and forever we will not understand the principle, right? So we got to believe first. Believe it first. Try it, and then we'll see the result. We see the result, and we say that, oh, this is good, and so we accept it, and we accept it. We put it into action. We put it into action, and you see more and more of these results, and so on and so forth. And that's how we test principles. And of course, that's the scientific answers. And I want to give a better answer that actually our African brothers and sisters was so good at it. And I just want to show. This is from today. If you watch Jai TV today, yesterday's 人间菩提. This is our brothers and sisters. I'm going to quiet. Try to read the lyrics. Right, let's stop here first. Every time I hear this, our brothers and sisters sing, it's just amazing. It's just amazing how they have put the teachings into their songs, and the songs are so amazing. I know maybe some of them are Christian songs, but when they put the lyrics in this way, it just sounds so amazing. And all that embodying the principles. Master says, Master repeated so many times these few days, that whenever she saw these brothers and sisters, she always praised them so much, because it's difficult for them to listen to Dharma. They have to translate 3 times, 4 times in order to understand. And we all know that, because we are here in this English session, we know that translation is difficult. You know, Master 600%, when we translate, maybe we leave about 70% and translate again, maybe another 70%, and so on and so forth. Really, the Dharma that we could understand, the wordings, is not so much. Yet, amazingly, they put into actions so much of the principles that Master has been teaching us all the time, repeatedly. They have put it into actions. So could we say that they haven't listened to Dharma? Could we say that the Dharma had not entered their heart? We couldn't, because they have put it into actions all this while. And the joy in their heart is the most important proof that they're just joyous. And this is the kind of joy that we hoped we could embody also. And this is an example of how our principal, our volunteers, they simply believe in Master, put into actions and see for themselves the joy in their face, and that is enough for them. And in fact, later bit in this video, I'm going to play just a little bit. This is what Master says also. This was brothers and sisters putting into drama the profound parental love.
Eu quero aprender muito. Por que eu digo quero aprender muito? Assistir nos ensina muito. Mas hoje, com os ensinamentos da Master, consigo dar cadeira, consigo ajudar a pessoa que precisa da minha ajuda. Porque a pessoa não só precisa do bem material, mas precisa de alguém que lhe dá conselho, de alguém que lhe dá carinho, da pessoa que lhe demonstra o amor incondicional.
现在这位也是呢，很真诚的慈济人，付出也很大。总而言之啦，他们总是很真诚。虽然呢语言体系不一样，但是呢，他们就是相信。
那我觉得让我非常感动的就是说，当他们学习到的内容跟他所认知有所不同的时候，我问了每一个志工，你们怎么去相信哪个部分呢？他们就回答说，我就是相信上人说的。
Amazing. It's really amazing, the songs. And why this portion? Because we just saw they believe. They simply believe. When their understanding is different from Master, they believe in what Master is saying and put into actions, put into their songs, put into the actions, and see for themselves that this is really right. Let's look at the lyrics again. I just tried to translate it a little, but I know I couldn't put the lyrics into the essence of their songs. It's just powerful. But you see the lyrics, there's purpose behind why I'm here. and oh, Master Cheng Yan, our master, I know I will definitely receive Master's teachings, and that teaching surpass everything. It gives us the strength to go forward in life. This is the kind of song, that the kind of strength, the kind of passion, the kind of belief in the teaching that it will drive us to continue, because they saw it put into actions. They testified we testified Master's teachings, so we traverse afar to care and alleviate sufferings. We testified Master's teachings, so we care for sentient beings with mother's love. And they always refer back to Taiwan, although none of them are Taiwanese. But the guidance, the future guidance is from Taiwan, from Master, and they saw it for themselves. Master's teaching in actions, and so they put it into action. They traverse afar to care and alleviate suffering, and that is the teaching, and they put it into actions. It's just amazing. You found me on this arid land. You raised me up, oh Master Cheng Yan. How do you manage to find me? Such humility, such always trying to better themselves, and the kind of gratitude, the kind of sincerity in learning. This is really a role model for us to learn from. And all the excerpts that was from yesterday's Renjie Puti, but there is going to be a almost 1 hour long video on it. So please look out for it tomorrow 9 p.m. at night. Tomorrow, please watch Dai TV on Dao Sili Tanke. And this is our Dai reporters. They go to Africa, traveled through 5 different of our African countries, and videotaped our volunteers. And it's cut into 4 different Dai Quanjilu. And so throughout this it says 4 months. And it'll be played through 4 months. So this is already the second episode of this series. So look out for the first episode that was on October 1st. Look out for it. It's amazing also. The stories, how they really travel so far to do international care and relief. And this we are already on the second episode. Tomorrow, please look out for it. And so what we really want to say here is that without faith is equal to suspicion. And arrogance and suspicion, we say the 5 poisons: greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and suspicion. The arrogant and suspicious, Master say, is the greatest hindrance in our own betterment. Because when we are arrogant, we think that we are already there. There's nothing more to learn. There's nothing more that I need to improve. Then I'm there, I'm stopped. And so I think the Chinese word man is a very good word. Man, you become so slow that you do not improve already. It just stopped. It's not just man, it's ting. It's so slow. You couldn't improve yourself anymore. And so that's arrogance. It really hinders our betterment. And suspicion, again, is another thing. When we are suspicious of the teachings, then we will not put into actions. And when we do not put into actions, then we will not improve at all. And so arrogance and suspicions are greatest hindrance to our own betterments, even worse than tendency to greed, anger, and ignorance. So look out for it. It's really a big hindrance. I want to just say, give it a try. Nowadays, I find that this 4 words, give it a try, is a very good way, because many a time we hear teaching in our head, at least in my head, I always think, I'll contemplate first. Is it logical? Does it make sense? Is it so and so forth? And no, always stuck in the philosophical thinkings. But nowadays, I tell myself, give it a try. Give it a try. And every time when I tell myself, give it a try, the teaching start to work its magic in my mind. And when I'm angry, when so and so forth, I'm angry, I know the principle, what I should do, the principle will come up, the Jing Sophorism, and so on and so on, and so on and so forth, will emerge in my mind. And then I'll say, give it a try. And then really, my whole mindset would change. The principle will start to work its magic, and then it works. It just works. That the whole anxiety and the whole feeling just starts to transform. It's just amazing. Give it a try. Give it a try. And how do you know if it works? Are we happy? Yesterday, Master asked us, are we happy? And that's as simple as that. And of course, he would say, if I don't really feel happy, well, I don't know, just continue. continue to find the happiness to go deeper into the principles. All right, I want to go on further. Question 3. Question 3. In this chapter 16, we've been learning that well, for the past 15 chapters, we say that it's the 基本, I usually translate it as the footprint. The footprint. But here it says derivative aspect. I think that we will see later. But 基本, the footprint. And then from 16 onwards, that's the 本门. The 本门, or the original aspect. And so the question was, so do we separate, for example, Tzu Chi school Buddhism, that's or the Tzu Chi Dhamma or Tzu Chi Zhongmen, is it a skillful teaching, which and it leads us to the goal of Jing's lineage, Jing's Dhamma lineage, that's the original aspects. Do we categorize it this way? Okay, I just want to share my own understanding of these ideas and see if that helps us to understand a bit better. We talk about, actually here there's 2 ideas that have been brought out, and oftentimes we kind of merge these ideas together, but at least in the understanding, I think it's different. There is footprints versus principle, and there's expedient means versus original intentions. In Chinese, what it means, footprints and principle is 基门 and 本门, or is 基门 and 道理. There's kind of like 基门本门. There's one idea, the related ideas, footprints and principles. Then on the other side is another idea, the expedient mean. Okay, on the other side is the expedient means, and original intention. In Chinese, there's the 方便法 then 真实法 or 世俗谛, 圣义谛. That's all the same. So the 方便法 or the skillful teachings, that's expedient means, the medicine, so on and so forth. These are actually 2 different ideas. I think they are different. And how different? I put it this way. Let's put the verses into arrows. Principle and footprints is the principle with front on this side, your left hand side. We put principles into actions. For example, the principle of compassion, it could be manifested into different forms. Like we could go for international disaster relief, we could do charity, we could do recycling, that's compassion to the earth, and then we could give a smile to the person beside us, that is compassion to the person beside us, and that is putting the principle into the different forms. And different forms, every action we do, we leave behind certain, the form that is left behind, there's footprint. And so I think this footprint is a pretty good translation, that in the principle, because principle has no form, compassion is formless. The idea of compassion itself is formless. But you have to put it into action, which is with form. And so, and actions, there's countless kinds of actions that embodies compassion. And so footprints is myriad. It is different, countless kind of footprints, but it all comes back to the same principle. And so in this aspect, the direction is from principles, it goes out to form all the different kind of footprints. And all these footprints embodies that same principle. But on the other side, this side, right-hand side, expedient means is from, the direction is from expedient means. They guide us to the original intention. For example, in this story of the doctor father used the expedient means of going far away and then send a messenger back saying that he is dead. And so the children cry so much, so they took the medicine and really learned the great Dharma, the great teaching. And so the poisons are cured. And that is the direction is in trying to guide, to suit sentient beings' capacity, and so use different ways to help them, to bring them, to guide towards the original intention, the original direction. So the direction is this way. So you could see that idea is different, or similar, but the direction is actually different. It's different. And if for example, we put the principles, the original intention, the Buddha nature, all these, because it's actually the same idea, we merge them together first, that will look this way. Buddha nature, principles, original intention, they are actually all the same thing. It's all talking about that formless, 真空妙有, that kind of idea that we hope that Buddha has been trying to say, but it's hard to put into words. And so he uses his own life stories, 八相成道, his own life story is the footprints to demonstrate that how these principles could be put into action in his own life. Again, this ties back to the idea just now that the embodiment of the principle is important. It's what we call, when we say Buddha has infinite lifespan, it's because he embodied the principle. And that's embodiment of the Buddha nature, embodiment of the principle, embodiment of the origin intention, it's all the same thing in different footprints. So we could say that our master also embodies the Buddha nature, the principles, all in all her actions and so on and so forth. So again, so master's life story is again another set of footprints. So Buddha has his set of footprints, master has her set of footprints, and we all have our set of footprints that embodies different principles. And we hope that we embodies the right principles. And from that, again, this expedient means where actually in the Tzu Chi term, if we put just now all things below is Tzu Chi spirits, then all the things above will be Tzu Chi Dharma doors, where actually we could almost combine these two together already. The footprints and expedient means we plus them together. This is almost what we are doing, because whatever we do, when we do our charity, we also at the same time invite, for example, we invite our care recipients to also become bodhisattva, so that they are no longer a recipient, they are also someone that can help others, not turn a hand upside down to give. That is this idea. So in that transformation of recipient into givers, that is the expedient mean of Tzu Chi Dhamma door. That is how people have entered the Tzu Chi's path. So in our footprints of doing charity, our missions, at the same time, it is also the mission itself is also the expedient means that brings bodhisattvas into the same path. And then this go on into a circle. We continue to do our footprints, and the footprint itself inspire more bodhisattvas to join us, and then put into actions. These actions inspire more bodhisattvas, and so on and so forth. It becomes a very good cycle. So then these ideas becomes the same, whether you say 方便法 or you say 真实法 or you say 基门本门, actually it's all connected together into a cycle, into a circle. And so this is the kind of path, bodhisattva path that master is leading us. This is why we say 菩萨大招生. It's so important in this cycle. We are not just a charity organization that does charity. There's only one side of it. We hope through such charity that is also the expedient means. So expedient mean is actually not lower ranked. It's not lower ranked to the original intention. It's just, in other words, it's how we guide people into that same path. So it's on an equal footing that is important in this cycle. For example, like myself, I came in because of 慈少. And can we say that 慈少 is not so important? Well, not really, because many of our teaching, many of us, although we are young, but it is a dharma door for us. It's because of these gains and actions and funds of doing good deeds that actually gave us that first step to enter the Tzu Chi world, to enter this path. So this is that. So Tzu Shao is also a dharma door, a very important dharma door to the youngsters. And Tzu Ching is again another dharma door. And then our Tima is again another dharma door. Our Teachers Association is another dharma door. Our recycling is another dharma door. So we have so many dharma doors for different kinds of people. No matter, so you can choose for which door you like to walk in. But all these doors lead to the same place, the Tzu Chi spirits. And this Tzu Chi spirit is embodied, is put into action in all these dharma doors. that invited more people to come in, so on and so forth. And this is just amazing. It's a cycle. It's a really good principle. If we put it this way, it's the same idea. Okay, so that's the Jimen and Benmen. I hope it kind of indirectly answered this question, that don't think that skillful teaching is on a lower rank, and so Tzu Chi school of Buddhism is on a lower rank, and more important is Jing's lineage. Don't put it this way. It's both important. You got to learn, you got to listen. Wen Si Xiu, you got to listen and then put it into practice, and then you listen again and you put it in practice. It's in the same footing. It's just in the same cycle. So there's no up and down. It's not that Jing's lineage is more important, so we should listen to Xun Fa Xiang all the time, and then we don't go and do the good deeds. That's just not really right. Okay, so I think this is how I understand this. Finally, question 4. I'm so sorry. Question 4. Can a person keep alert stretch his body or exercises? I just want to say that that's perfectly okay, because if brothers and sisters have come to the boat before, I use an example. In a boat during breakfast time, we would listen back the teaching that Master has been giving in the morning. So while we're eating, we'll listen to the teaching. And would you say that it's bad? Well, maybe not. Actually, in fact, many of us, our masters also, when they are doing the works, when they are doing the chupo, they will also listen to Master's teaching. In fact, when we are washing our clothes, we will put on our headphones to listen to Xun Fa Xiang, because it's actually making good use of the time. So don't worry that whatever the actions that you're doing when you're listening, I think that's two different things. More important is you actually listen into your heart. So choose a right action that you don't really know, the kind of action that you don't really need to use your brain, so that the actions can continue that doesn't use your brain. At the same time, you listen to the teaching that will go into your brain. For example, washing clothes is an action that you don't really need to use your mind. You don't need to use your head, and so you could listen to the teaching. Or like, for example, eating breakfast, you don't really need to think while you're eating. So that will be a good time to also listen to Xun Fa Xiang. And so like for this person to keep alert and stretch the body, I think that's okay, because because his purpose is to keep alert. But again, of course, the caveat is if this person, if for example we are sitting on the first row, and then we are doing stretchings, and we will cause all the persons behind us to do the Indian dance in order to see the screen, then let's not do that. Okay, so yeah, if you need to stretch the body, go behind, and then keep alert, continue to listen, and I think that's okay. I think that's okay. All right. Finally, lastly, I just want to share a little. 大爱共伴有情天，寸步铺路乎大地. This is the guiding principle that Master gave us for the next 1 year. And I want to share just a little. The 共伴 is very interesting. This 共伴, the working together, actually has a background. It actually comes from a weather effect called cold movement effect. Because for the past, in October, or in fact many a time, Taiwan has been meeting a lot of the weather disorder, where we have a very big rains. Not because there is a typhoon, because the typhoon actually didn't hit Taiwan, but the surrounding wind together with northeasterly trade winds, they merged together, reinforcing each other. So it's called cold movement. It's the effects adding up to each other, which cause rains like this. The purple color means worse. So the whole eastern side of Hualien, the place of Hualien, rains hell, really big. And so this is called the 共伴效应, cold movement effect. That's a weather term. But very interestingly, Master put it, 共伴有晴天. Even the weather system says that when that happens, it's going to bring us a lot of rain. But Master says that when it's great love putting together in the 共伴, you could have sunny days, 有晴天. So it's very interesting how Master transformed it into something. Sunny days working together is joyous like sunny days. And so that's the and just a little elaboration on the guidance for the next year. I want to elaborate a little more, but maybe for the next session. And so I'll end my sharing now. I believe there's a sharing from one of our doctors. from one of our chapter. So let me pass the mic back to thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Yuping, for the inspiring sharing. Okay, brother from Miri, over to you. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Let me just. All right, Sifu, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dharma brothers and sisters. I'm Eric. I'm from Miri. Together with me, I have Dr. Uma, and she will be sharing. She has joined us for a few months, and I'll hand over the mic to her.
Thank you, Brother Eric. I'm very grateful for coming for all this Dharma talk, which I never attended before. I think it's very relevant for the mind, and I had some experiences. I've been coming from August, and there has been some changes in my life which I like to share. In my family, there was a bit of problem with a member of a family. Not a very big problem, but the body language, not body language, it's the communication skills was not so good. And I find that after listening to all the talks and there are some changes in my way of thinking, and I feel that it's some effect is there. And after 1 month or so, there's some changes in the member of the family, and there was more positive so-called communication with us, and I think that is very, very relevant, because what we think and how we translate the thoughts into action, even in terms of body language, is very, very relevant. So it has helped. It has greatly helped, and I've also come to be more calmer and not think negative things as it is. Maybe it's as like what one of the teachings says, it's our karma. We have some kind of turbulence in our life. It's because of the past, which we don't understand why it's happening. So I've started to take it that way. And in fact, I thank him. I thank my member of the family that I've learned something from something that's not so positive. And somehow we have gone back to the original nature. The member of the family is also more, he's come back to the original nature, means it's more caring, and I'm very happy with the improved relationship. And he's in fact, originally he's a very caring and compassionate person. So I'm very happy about it. And I would like to recommend that more and more people of even other races and religions join this, because it's all about the mind. We're having some problem, and how we show and put our thoughts, our principles into action is very, very relevant. And I really hope the Sachi, which is doing a very magnificent job, more people of different ethnic groups come and listen to this, because it is definitely a very useful tool, and it changes us, our way of thinking, so that we make this world a better world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Uma, and over to you, Brother Yuping.
Thank you so much, Dr. Uma, Sister Uma. It's really amazing hearing your story, transformation in your family, and I'm very happy for your family also. Really, that the teaching, the Dharma, Master's teaching has helped help your family and also all of us also, and your sharing testifies this principle in action. And thank you so much. We are all brothers and sisters, no matter what ethnicities we have. It's all the same. Really, we also hope, no matter what ethnicities, because we're all the same, to all come together to listen to the great teachings and to better our lives because of the teachings. I want to say sorry also because all our masters, they are also busy with the commissioner camp. And so actually today there's only me around, so there's no master beside to give you the feedback. I'm so sorry about that, but I pass the well wishes to you also. Thank you so much.